Hey everyone, my name is Daniel and welcome to the Voyager Roundtable. Here today, I'm joined by my good friend DJ Crypto from Buy the Dip, Sell the Tip on
I buy the
YouTube.
tip sometimes.
Sometimes, not often. And we got Mike the Investor. Great to finally meet you, man, and great to have you here.
Likewise, likewise. Thanks for having me on. It's been kind of a long time coming. So, man, thanks for having me. And DJ Crypto, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Mike, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Daniel. I know you thought about it. Is this guy going to come back or not? But thanks for bringing me back.
Yeah, for sure. No, always happy to have you on, DJ. So, we've had a lot of stuff happen here with Voyager over the past week or two. It's been a massive change in sentiment. So, I mean, where do we start at this point? I guess let's start from the latest news and just kind of move backward. I mean, today we just got the new announcement with VGX and Coinify officially being able to find a way to use VGX as a form of potentially payment down the road. So, that's phenomenal. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's big because I was reading the article as well in the press release, and it not only is that quantified, but that gives them that international outbreak. That gives them access to 30,000 different customers in 150 countries. So that's massive for Voyager. And so I think that's a pretty big deal. Not including that how they'd be coming into Europe and France starting in March. So I think that's pretty big as well. I think that just kind of builds on top of what they've already been going for.
Yeah, I never really thought about like the international kind of concept of it, how VGX has been very almost kind of kept within the US. Then they add the staking for international users. And then now you have Coinify. And then down the road, once they expand into Europe and Canada down the road, that'll obviously be a positive catalyst. DJ, any thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think that they're kind of building those layers up for the expansion when it happens. And then I really like the idea of, people were talking like Mark Cuban and things like that, like, hey, when are you going to do something with VGX and all that? And no one really had an idea of how that would happen. Like, you can't just, oh, we accept VGX for tickets. Like, who cares? But if you partner with Coinify, then you can get into these businesses, whether it's the Mavericks or whatever else he dabbles in. And that's a payment processing that can be accepted for tickets, merchandise, and all those kind of things. And so I like kind of the nuance of, if I can get Mark Cuban to talk about it, this is something that he can relate to the Mavericks and not really pushing Voyager, but pushing the Mavericks. And this kind of squeezes us in there. And that's just kind of a little side thing that I really liked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, when you look at Steve, right? Like he's not directly pushing VGX, and I think a lot of people have kind of been angry at him for not like directly mentioning, VGX, its role in the platform. But I think there's something about just kind of like a little, like almost nuance, like a little push. Users download the app and discover it for themselves, and I think there's something about that.
I haven't really seen anybody that angry. So
I actually saw a lot of
Just kidding.
comments
I'm kidding,
saying, remember the press conference with Steve and Mark Cuban?
yeah.
I got at least 5 comments saying, why on earth did Steve not mention VGX?
Man, there's people talking all the time. Mike, you ever deal with anybody that's angry?
That has like a disagreement with what Steve does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think when you have a certain light on you, I think you always kind of get some people that may disagree with what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's done a great job at positioning the company and promoting it where it needs to be promoted. And I think there's also a thing of saying too much promotion can be bad, like too much of anything can be bad. And so I think it's kind of one of those things where he kind of let it speak for itself.
Yeah, totally. And I think we kind of skimmed over this, but Mike, I don't know if you want a bit of an opportunity, maybe talk about yourself, who you are, and kind of how you got involved with VGX. It's always interesting to hear those stories.
Yeah. So, and I was looking back on my Voyager app to see when was the first time I got into Voyager, and when was the first time I started using the app as well. And the date is January 14th was the first time I purchased VGX and started using the Voyager app. That's when I made my first deposit. And I was like, man, it's almost been a year. And so that's when I actually got into VGX and then just the whole Voyager app itself.
Yeah, I'm actually really similar, but like with Voyager stock, and I'm not sure if you you know what your kind of like stock investing background is, if you own any Voyager stock or just VGX, but I'm literally right in line with you. Like that week is when I bought into Voyager. It's kind of interesting how that lines up.
That's pretty
DJ,
cool.
you're similar, DJ, right?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of January.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that
I
was
think it
kind
was
of the time frame.
the token itself was like in the 83 cents or something like that when I first bought it, but didn't buy enough.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But hey, I've changed that to a degree now.
Yeah. Yeah, I dabbled. But back then, you know, it was you had to have 10,000 tokens for 3% and it didn't do anything. So it's like, you know, I wasn't that enticed to buy it. And then they started like a month later talking about what they were going to do. And then it went crazy. But back then it was just like, all right, 3%, you have to have 10,000 tokens. And I didn't have that much. So it's like, well, I'm not even getting interest on it. So I didn't have very much.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of went from like an idea to reality here over the past few months. Like, you know, from that moment from January to literally the end of August, it was all about, you know, the staking and the idea of a rewards program, which is now kind of involved. And I don't know, Mike, what are your thoughts on the rewards program, the rewards that it has, and kind of where you see it going longer term?
Yeah. For me, I think the Voyager, the VIP program, I think it's awesome. And before we even kind of dive into that, because it's a lot to unload, for me, if you just look at an asset far as in general, why something is good. Well, if we just look at the crypto space as a whole, right? Well, there's over 7 billion people in the world. Well, if you take about 5 billion of those people, about 5 billion of those people are banked and have access to buy crypto. And so when you think about not even 300 million people are in the crypto space yet, they all have to buy and sell that crypto somewhere. So inevitably, just within itself, cryptos like that is going to grow in growth and going to grow over time. Now, when we look at the benefits that it offers, the interest, the crypto payments that are becoming, we haven't even talked about the NFT marketplace yet that's going to be launching with Avalanche. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we have so many different development pieces that are coming, the credit card, the debit card, the desktop that I'm sure will have different features that goes along with it because it's actually on a computer. You know, so I mean, when you look at just the VIP program, getting the cash back, being able to earn more interest on certain assets, as far as USDC stablecoin, and then being able to hold your USDC stablecoin and make payments from it, that's massive. And not to mention, if you're holding just normal cash in Voyager up to $250,000, it's backed by the FDIC insured. You know what I mean? And also Voyager is a public traded company that is backed by the government. So when you look at just all of these things, it gives you so many different things to go off of on why, you know, this project and company is something to go off of, not to mention the team, the leader. I mean, we can go on and on, you know. I'm a little biased, but hey.
Oh, we can go on and on. You can keep going. Get everybody hyped up, listen to $3. I will say I give Mike credit because most of our stories of people that I know who got in 2021 for sure. I just checked and my first purchase was January 17th. So it was actually $1.20 that day. Then I bought a little bit more when it dipped on like 86 cents or something. But the first videos that I was watching were like Rob and Alex. Alex was doing interviews on Trade the Chain. Rob was talking about it with like a bigger channel, which at the time was like, I don't know, 60,000 subscribers, which was really big. And not, I mean, everything's blown up this year. But then Mike comes along and he's doing videos about Voyager, but it's like he's talking about like the everyday, how do you get in? Here's my first step of like $100 in or 500 tokens, or here's my, so I'm doing a little side deal in the comment section. I'll post my address later. Whoever sends me the most gets it. auction style, but sketchy. But Mike was out there like, here's my path to get 500 tokens. And I think I remember you like getting 500 tokens because at first you were talking about it before you even had 500. And then they like, I think you're making videos on like getting 5,000. So those little milestones relates to like the masses, and people go to that and have been watching that for a long time to just think, yeah, I can do it. And you would always put out price predictions of like, not really predictions, but I don't know what to call it, but you say, if and when it gets to this price and I have 5,000 tokens, this is what I've got. And it's not a 1 month game or a 1 year game. This is a long-term game, and it actually has the potential to get there. And you're getting people to think that way. And a lot of people relate to that. And I was relating to that. And so props to you, because that was your niche in the VGX community of breaking it down that way, and nobody else was. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, thanks, DJ. I appreciate it. And it kind of goes back to just the old tradition of me being in the stock market. Because when I was back in stocks, I was real big into dividend investing, where I was investing for cash flow, which is a long-term game. And I still keep 80% of that same approach. Like Voyager is like a dividend play for me that offers more benefits than just cash flow. And so this is why it was just complete long term. I never really bought it to sell out of. That's just me, though. Now, of course, not everyone has those same goals or ambitions, but for me, I see the big picture, and I think if you have enough, it can be life changing for you.
Yeah,
And I think that's with any crypto, for the most part, if it's a legit project, or don't even technically have to be legit project nowadays. Definitely in today's time, with us being in the bull market. If you got enough and you cash out at the right time, you could change your life.
yeah.
Yeah. So like when you look at a crypto, do you almost analyze it kind of the same way you would a stock, in the sense that you look at the business, you look at the team, you look at its, not just its use case, but kind of what it may be in terms of total addressable market, things like that? Or is that kind of what I'm getting here? Or?
Yeah, spot on. And of course, there's different metrics that we can't just 100% use that we use for like stocks, of course. But definitely one thing I like to go to before I get any, and this is just me personally, because I'm still a consumer of the space. So I still look at YouTube videos. I still listen to interviews, listen to podcasts to educate myself. And so with that being said, for me, I still go to the website first before I get any outside influence. I want to go to the website, see what the website looks like, see do they have any legit partnerships, do they have any partnership with any institutional backing, any management firms, what connections do they have with companies or institutional backings that I believe that's going to be here. Like say, for example, crypto project XYZ has a partnership with Circle or a partnership with Grayscale. Or for me, that sticks out like a sore thumb, because I know Grayscale's here to stay. And if Grayscale puts their stamp on approval on something, I want to take a closer look at it. And so I do due diligence like that. I like to follow the money, see what's connected, see what use case they're going after, see what moat they have, see what competitive moat they have, and then what is their who is their competition. You know what I mean? What's their biggest weakness? And will that weakness, how significant is that weakness? There's a lot of different metrics we can use, right? Also, depending on your goals, your strategies. If this is a short-term play, looking at max supply versus a position that has super long max supply compared to a lower max supply, as far as like Voyager, like 280 million for the max supply, extremely low. So it doesn't take that much to move the price. We're not even at $1 billion market cap. And so when you look at other prices that may have larger supplies, those may be longer term plays. So I just use different methods depending on what my goal is for that actual position.
That makes sense. So like when you look at the, you mentioned like cryptos that are kind of like interconnected. So like you look at the partnership that, Voyager and VGX just had with Avalanche. What do you think about that and the potential that that holds for Voyager?
Well, two things. One, I don't hold any Avalanche, but I do think it's a legit project here to stay. Just one of those I never pulled the trigger on. And so when I think you have two projects that are here to stay that partners together, which is the second thing, I think it sets both projects up for success. And so we can already look at the tear that Avalanche has already been on just this year alone.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of optimism, and then it obviously opens up a massive amount of kind of paths for Voyager. I don't know, like one of the things that like I really like about Voyager kind of being a centralized platform is the fact that this may not just be that they're a centralized platform, but just the management team behind Voyager, that they didn't just go the Ethereum route when it comes to NFTs, partnering with Avalanche to do that, which supposedly will be much cheaper and faster and open up a kind of wider variety of opportunities in that space. So I'm just optimistic about how they're kind of finding these different areas to stay relevant. And I think kind of over the long run, as things get more decentralized, I think them kind of implementing those aspects into their business are going to make them quite relevant even 5-10 years down the road.
Something about that Avalanche play is something I'm considering that Voyager is doing is kind of, I don't know if they're postponing, but it's almost like they're postponing things. And one of the things I'm leaning toward is because of tax implications. I think they're putting out so much regulatory scare tactics of how much is going to have to be reported. And this is not really creating anything for us. They're just going to send us reports, but they would have to report so many things. And today I was actually looking into NFT taxes. If you get airdropped NFTs, that's taxable. If you trade NFTs, that's taxable. If you sell them, or I mean, there's like a few NFT plays that people don't even think about, like it's a product or whatever. But I follow that guy Sheehan, that tax guy on Twitter, and he was putting out a tweet about NFTs. And I thought, man, there's just too many things that we've been waiting on that I wonder if they're delayed because of tax reasons. Because if they delay it to like January, then they have a whole year to figure out what they have to do. If they do it in December, talk about a scaling issue, trying to give us all that tax information and everybody's hounding them for all that stuff. So I think, everybody kind of looks toward the end of the year for all this crypto run. And, I follow Plan B and all the Bitcoin run and all that stuff. But there is so much development happening in 2022 that I think we have a little bit more to go, because there's not just Voyager and Avalanche, but all these projects seem to be doing well into 2022. They have plans. But that's just something with that Avalanche specifically. I think we're going to see that more in January. But my guess is just because of tax reasons. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, but that's just my speculation.
I mean, it makes sense. Sorry, Mike, if you had something to say.
No, go ahead.
No, because I know Voyager, like Steve, he did say they're in the process of partnering with a firm to really simplify the way Voyager's taxes are kind of given out, instead of just like a CSV or CVS file. So, I mean, possibly, right? It may also be, that with a variety of reasons, like them wanting to get it done perfectly, which, if we know Steve, he likes to release things well and not kind of prematurely to a point where you have to scale back, and that obviously causes massive problems. So, that's kind of one of the things that kind of makes me sleep at night, or sleep well at night. The fact that, these guys know what they're doing, and the things that they release aren't necessarily, or most likely are going to kind of stay out there because of the fact that they took the proper steps to kind of get the entire back end done well.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that Voyager showed us is that they're very calculated on when they make an acquisition, when they make a partnership, when they make a move. And kind of like you said a little earlier, is that they didn't take the route of just saying, hey, we're going to go with Ethereum to launch our NFT marketplace. They said, hey, we're going to go with Avalanche because we think this is not only better for us, but we think it's better for the consumers that's using the platform. So cheaper fees, that benefits us, I think, probably more than it benefits probably Voyager, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think that it definitely benefits us. And so I think moves like that shows that they're calculated. And last time I checked, if I'm not sure, but don't they have like somewhere close to like 100 million on the balance sheet as far as like the company? So they have money to make moves and to make acquisitions, as Stephen Ehrlich said in previous press conferences. hey, I'm not afraid to make acquisitions, but it has to be the right move. So based off of the developments, we know what's going to happen. It has to be acquisitions that's based off of that, like we saw with Quantify. They mentioned already eventually they wanted to offer crypto payments. Well, that makes sense for the Quantify acquisition. You know what I mean? They also, I forgot the company's name. They made an acquisition a few months ago, which allows them to offer more interest on crypto assets. That's one of their goals as well, to make it simplified and make people to be able to earn passive income just by holding their assets on the platform. Those are the acquisitions they're making. So everything they said they want to do, those are the acquisitions that they made. And so for me, they stand to 10 toes on what they said they were going to do. And so that shows trust and legitimacy to me.
Yeah, I mean, now it's actually over $250 million in cash, based off of their most recent. They had a funding round with Alameda Research, which
Yes.
like partially the team behind like FTX or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that shows belief. And there's also potential synergies with the two, with also helping with NFTs and different aspects there. Did get a question here about the interest on VGX. I know that's something we all take a look at, and
Yeah.
I don't know if some of you want to comment on what's going to happen with the interest rate.
I think this is definitely a fair and valid question, because a lot of people wonder right now it's 7% and it started in September. And so I'm guessing votes will go in close or probably in that same month. What the community, the people who are holders of the Voyager loyalty program, what they want it to be. Well, in my opinion, just kind of based off of the talks, based off of videos, based off of just the whole community talk on VGX, we want passive income. So in my opinion, I could be completely wrong on this. Who really knows at this point? But I think we're either going to vote for it to stay the same or vote for it to be higher, because we don't want it to be less. So that's just kind of my thoughts. I don't know exactly how that's going to be, but it's been said that the community will be able to choose. And I believe we're going to be able to choose it to stay the same or be higher. What's your guys' take on that?
Yeah, for sure. And that's another thing that, Mike, you've always been talking about on your videos, is the passive income that's available in crypto. And that's definitely the draw for the VGX token being 7%, which is definitely on the higher than average side of all the tokens, like 30 or 35 tokens now on Voyager. But, we don't even have the burn mechanism in place, which is going to help with the possible inflation fears, which I think most people know that the network effect will impact this at a higher rate than 7%, especially with expansion. But now that's postponed to next year. So we have less time with that. But also, that's another thing with this Coinify integration, is because what Steve had told us was that on this burn mechanism, it needs to come from inside the app, basically holders. So like when you withdraw off the app and you have that 25% of burn of what you have, that's why it helps, is because it's from users. If you just burn like their stash of tokens, like it doesn't, if you create a mechanism out of what they hold, it doesn't do anything. They might as well just choose a number and burn it. But with this Coinify integration and accepting it or using it as payments, that is our tokens being used in a process. And I wouldn't be surprised if, and I'm hopeful for, some type of additional burn mechanism with that as well that could be found. Like, I'm going to use it for discounts, which is the same use case as withdrawals. So if I use VGX for discounts through their payment processing, can we also burn some of that VGX that's used? It's the exact same process as that withdrawal feature, and maybe that's why it's delayed. Maybe they're going to use Coinify to do that process off of the app. But that's another thing that caught my eye, because if I do go to a Mavericks game and buy merchandise or a hot dog or whatever, and there's so many other ways it can be used. But if I get a discount with my VGX, can some of that be burned also? And that matches what they've already wanted to do. And I think that's another speculative excitement with the tokenomics going forward. I think that, if we want to raise the interest to like 10%, we're going to have to convince people to do that. And how can you raise the interest? I think more burn is my opinion of how to make sense of that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think as long as there is an interest rate that is kind of at this level, 7%, it should be expected that VGX will be an inflationary coin. But they can definitely add some aspects like that where there are small burns here or there on certain transactions, and that obviously does help. So we'll see. But I think the Coinify, that whole acquisition and the whole payment processing part of their business is just such an overlooked opportunity, in my opinion. Like, you look at payment processing in general, like Coinify really has the potential to, when you shop online, to have that little button, pay with crypto through Coinify, you press and you're able to pay, powering that entire backend, right? And the fact that Voyager will be able to do that at some point, hopefully in 2022, is just kind of astonishing to me. I don't think a lot of people actually kind of take a look at that and, give it a lot of credit. So, yeah, I'm just going to say that's probably one of the most exciting parts of the business, aside from the actual Voyager platform.
Mike, I know one thing we talk about on here when we have guests come on is favorite tokens. I know you got some. How many tokens are you holding on Voyager? Do you talk about that, or what are some of your favorite ones? If you had to pick a top three, if you had to pick top three,
That's
not
on the Voyager
non-VGX.
app. That's on the Voyager app?
On the Voyager app, yeah.
Okay.
What do you got?
Man, and I can't pick VGX.
Yeah, aside from VGX, we know that's your number one.
Okay.
As far as your favorite.
Well, you're probably going to be able to guess two pretty easy then.
BitTorrent?
Of course, because I'm holding it. I'm biased. Digibyte, of course.
Digibyte,
and then
yeah.
CKB.
Oh, okay.
Nervous
I didn't know you were into CKB so much.
Well, I haven't talked about it. The Patreon members know, but we've been
okay.
So, yeah.
Gonna have to sign up. So when did you get into CKB?
Honestly, I got in October 11th, so right before the
huge
run.
Nice.
So we right before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I got in. I've traded it like 4 times. I don't want to hold it, but I think it's one of the easiest things to buy. Well, honestly, I can't hold more than like 2 tokens. I'll be up at like 20% on something. I'll sell it and I'll buy more VGX. It's a sickness. I can't. Even USDC, I can't hold it on there.
Oh man, no.
This guy's already at the top tier, yet he's still just buying and buying.
Oh, I know. He's one of those big whales.
No. I'm barely over 20,000.
The price if he ever ends up selling.
No, that's another thing I was talking about earlier. Is I've talked about how I've sold my whole stack of VGX before, like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. And I think the price went up when I did it. So it's not, it doesn't impact the price because I don't even have enough. Actually, I couldn't sell enough at that time. So I had to do like 3 or 4 sells. I didn't get the trades like I would now. So that sucked. Yeah. But I did that wash trade thing months ago when the price dipped and I had like a $4 average at the time. And then I just wiped it all out. So, but yeah, it didn't affect the price. I'm not that big at all. But so those are your 3 favorites. Have you looked into any of the mining and stuff like that with CKB?
I have not, just kind of holding it. I have tampered with the NFT collect.me though, the NFT marketplace. So I have tampered with that a little bit. So just kind of wait. It's still in like beta, so it's not, they don't have like the withdrawal feature and all of that fully. I think it's active now. Actually, I think they just went active. They made an announcement yesterday, I believe. So I've tampered with that a little bit, but nothing with the mining. Haven't really messed with any mining like that too much.
Yeah. I saw Airborne, is a friend of mine. He's on there and he had these mining devices. And he's big into CKB, but there's a lot of VGX people into CKB right now. It's good.
I mean, I think it's a legit project though, man. I mean, besides the huge potential it has in this, bull cycle, I think it has huge potential, man. I mean,
this is it, right?
Yeah, look at all that red. I'm joking.
It's a universal.
It went up like 500%, and then I had a bad day. yeah, there we go.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's awesome. I still got a bit to go.
That's one of the, probably the last, 5 tokens that was added onto Voyager, and it came on at like 0.009, and it went up to like 18 that first day. And so I bought it. Anytime one comes onto Voyager, I'll buy it. And so I flipped it that first day. It went crazy. But yeah, so anybody who bought it when it came on, I mean, it was less than a cent when it came onto Voyager. So they almost tripled up around then.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's done well for sure.
But what about you, DJ?
I mean, I only have one. I only have one. Well, I mean, I love StormX, but it's not on the app. I have it off the app.
Yeah.
And then Luna is probably my favorite, but I can't hold it. I'll buy it. I'll make some. I'll sell it. I cannot hold it. I have a sickness, but I think Luna is my biggest regret.
Oh, that's the wrong one, right?
I sold my biggest wad of it at $11.
Where's Luna?
I love Solana.
Oh, there.
But it's just a beast. You guys doing any DeFi? Because we were talking about AVAX earlier, and that partnership with Voyager, they're going to add some DeFi aspects. Are you guys messing with DeFi stuff any?
Binance Smart Chain.
Mm-hmm.
Pancake. But you know that already.
Yeah. Are you getting like 80% plus still?
No, I think it's like 55%.
Okay.
What a ripoff, honestly. If I'm not getting 80%, what's the point, right?
Yeah. Again, I bought it at like $14 a couple months ago. And I was like, well, I'll just stick a couple $1,000s in it. I'll get my 80% again. And it goes up to like $25. Boom, I'm out.
Hey, the thing is to make money, right? So you're making money, man. So whatever works.
Whatever works, getting that 7%.
Yeah, what's you guys had any bad ones lately? Have you bought anything that just didn't work out, or you bought it too high, or anything that's been bad? I know, Mike, you're more of a holder. You doing any trading, or have you had any bad buys lately?
No, I'm pretty much a hodler, man. I mean, I got some risky plays that are extremely short term.
Monaco.
Yes.
That's what I call it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a risky play, and the reason why, I mean, we're in a bull market. The NFT play to earn game is so big right now, so I mean, it's easier to make money. Of course, it's extremely risky. I only put in money that I'm willing to lose. So
yeah, having a little fun.
Yeah, you gotta have some fun, man. I mean, if you're
Shiba
just
broke everybody,
you gotta have a little fun, man. You gotta have a little fun.
Yeah, it's like going to roll some dice when you're on a cruise.
Well, I don't know about all that, but
Daniel, you doing any DeFi?
Not a ton. I mean, I'm still more of a stock guy. I get a lot of my, I do own VGX. I own StormX. Those are probably my favorite projects. I love the aspect of kind of utility tokens and being able to use like the actual tokens for things other than, staking and running the network. Like in the case of VGX, the rewards program. In the case of StormX, the rewards program they have at StormX. But got my losers with the stock market. I don't think anyone.
I saw you just recently said that you're going to expose or show off like your holdings, right?
I'll do that at some point, but I made a video going through every stock that I talked about on the channel, like in the history of, I think it was like 50 or 60, and like the exact price the first time I made a video, where the price is now, the percentage drop or up. And obviously, if you're watching this, feel free to watch that video.
So, man, tell me what you like about StormX, because it seems like all three of us are in StormX.
For me, right? Yeah. So, I see like with StormX, obviously, I see something very similar to like with Voyager, like with the case with Voyager, right? They're a crypto brokerage right now, but over the long run, the plan is to be more of like a lifestyle financial app, right? And expand into all aspects of finance. And I see something very similar to that with StormX, where right now they have awesome utility with these, rewards, which there's no reason for you not to have the StormX extension and, get that 1, 2, 3 if not even more percentage cash back, on like a majority of the places you already shop at. So, one of the main reasons I like StormX is because it fits my life, right? And fits pretty much, everyone that I know can benefit from StormX. And on top of that, you have them expanding into other aspects like freelancing at some point in the future. And again, kind of tying in the StormX token into all of that. And you also have 10% staking. So that's nice.
Yeah, I like a lot of things about StormX, but I think it just hit me a couple days ago that I fully believe that they're going to have easily the best debit card in crypto. And I wasn't that excited about the debit card. I used the app fairly regular, and I was happy with it. I just wanted more stores. I wanted stores like Target, Home Depot, whether I'm making a big purchase or my everyday purchases. They used to have Walmart. I wanted some of that stuff going on. Aside just like shopping for random one-offs. But when I was talking with Simon, he laid out that like I thought the debit card that they had was you load StormX onto it and you just use it to pay. I'm like, I don't want to give someone my StormX. I'm like, I've been holding it since like January. I don't want to give someone else my tokens here. And but it's actually they're going to have 15,000 plus stores to use this debit card, and that debit card gets you multiple percent back off of just the debit card. So regardless of how many tokens you have, then if that store is also in their mobile app, you can use that debit card in the mobile app and double stack, and then you're staking your tokens while you're doing that, and they call that a triple stack. And his goal is to get more, like 4 or 5 deep, on how many layers are you going to get a percentage back. And then it's just magnified if you're a gold member or a silver member or a platinum member, whatever you are, those rewards are just magnified. And I think it has a chance. I mean, base level, even if you don't own the token, that debit card is going to beat every debit card. But as far as what it gets you back. But if you're like a gold member or a silver member getting 1.5 or 2x, I mean, that stuff, no one even knows it yet. No one even can see what's about to happen. But if you're getting 5% off the card and 5% in the store, and then you're a gold member and you double that up, I mean, you're talking like 15, 20%. And for a debit card, that's crazy. Not only that, but you've got to buy StormX tokens to load onto here. So it's a little bit volatile for a debit card, but they have like this holding tank of tokens. And so if this network effect grows so big, then that custodian has to go and get more tokens. And so I think it actually helps the volatility of the token. And if you got enough people using it, that's a big network. So there's my rant on it.
I mean, that's
what do you like about it, Mike?
It's fascinating.
Man, I like StormX. Everything you guys said, I agree with it. That's a lot to unpack what you said, DJ, though. So I mean, we kind of have to wait and see, of course, what StormX does once it fully launches. But being able to double stack while being able to stake as well is like a win-win for sure. But I just like the aspect of crypto back. I mean, yeah, they say first mover advantage sometimes only goes so far, but I think like in the crypto space and how far they've gotten so far, I think really matters. And then they was able to get the Portland Trailblazers partnership as well. I mean, I really think that gives it a big stamp of approval as well. Because I mean, this is, teams who have a big reputation, and so they don't want to, have any, company or anything that makes them look bad, because of course it's still about business that have them look bad if they don't think their business plan or whatever their focus is not going to pan out in the future, of course. And so just the aspect of online shopping has increased over the years. People wanting to get crypto back. Everyone's going to be using crypto over time. And so when they realize, hey, if I'm going to use crypto, why not use this company or use this company to get crypto back? Well, StormX is already there. And a lot of people say, well, man, they lost the Walmart partnership. I mean, there's other things that they can do. And I mean, we're still early. Like I said, there's only 300 million people in the space today. I mean, 220, I believe, to be exact. So under 300 million. So we got so many people. We haven't even hit 500 million people yet in the crypto space. So I think we just gotta wait. We just gotta kind of be patient. I know we hear it a lot, but kind of got to be patient. You know what I mean? It's hard to say when you see other cryptos just blowing up, but this is why you get into some of those risky plays if you can afford the risk tolerance, because they blow up, like that. So you just got to be patient when you're holding some of these. I would say, what's a good word for it? To me, I call them gems. I call them hidden gems. I don't think they're hidden because everyone knows about it. I just think they've been suppressed for so long. A lot of people are tired of holding them. And two rules that are used in the crypto space, and not used in general life, but definitely used in crypto. If you talk about something bad enough, if you say negative things about something long enough, people will stay away from it. If you suppress the price on something long enough, people will stay away from it. And so that's what's being done, and not just to these two assets, there to other crypto assets as well. Even to stocks, it happens. You know what I mean? And this is to keep people out, keeping FUD surrounding projects. And this is why you got to do your own due diligence, because if not, you will sell out every time.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone's wondering how is this related to Voyager, maybe you're just hopping on. StormX is listed on Voyager. Steve Ehrlich and what is it, Simon Yu, the founder of StormX. They have a very healthy connection. So, there may be some form of partnership there over the long run. If we'll see. But what if you implement StormX related things into the Voyager debit card, right? That's definitely got potential, right? StormX benefits from it. Voyager benefits from it. So that's definitely a potential opportunity for them over the long run. And I look at Voyager, and the only negative thing that I can kind of pinpoint right now, and this has been one of my kind of larger concerns, is customer service. And I don't have the app. I'm not able to get it based off of my location. But what's kind of been your experience with it, Mike? And is this a bit of a potential risk to you? And what are your thoughts around it?
Yeah, so I will say this before we kind of talk about some of the pros and cons, because with every platform, there's pros and cons, and you're going to be things you dislike. Now, the things I dislike about the platform that I wish could be better, yes. But for me, the pros outweigh the cons by far, just like in my opinion. But it's also based off of the user phase, how I like using it. So I think all that matters as well based off of the investor. And so me personally, though, I mean, I've had people that talk to me personally that's had problems. I haven't had certain issues that other people have had, so I've probably been a little bit more fortunate. However, I know problems have come up, and I think it's a growing pain. You know what I mean? With that being said, I don't want to be unsensitive to people having to wait, like on funds, not being able to withdraw or anything like that. But I definitely do believe it's kind of one of those growing pains that you kind of have to deal with if you're, using the platform. Because Voyager still gets put at the height as like Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, where they've actually, been in this space doing it a lot longer, where Voyager is still held at that same accountability. And I think sometimes, investors may forget that when they get frustrated with their funds and things like that. So every company has ups and downs. Every company has something you may dislike. Just like when she went to that all-time high not too long ago, and markets, crypto exchanges, and platforms went down where you couldn't cash out. Voyager wasn't the only one. Coinbase, Crypto.com, you couldn't sell. You know what I mean? And these platforms have been here longer and worth more money, and they had the same problem. So I just think we have to kind of look at things from a whole perspective and just kind of really see. But definitely, withdrawals can be a pain at times that I've heard for some people and I've seen, but I haven't personally dealt with, some of the problems that people have dealt with. So I guess I've been fortunate, but I've seen personally some of those withdrawal problems taking a little bit longer than expected. So I get it. I understand. I get it.
That's interesting. Yeah, it seems like it's different for everyone. I think at the end of the day, things will get improved once they have an actual like phone line, which I know is in the works. Because once you can have someone to actually talk to, even if you have to wait 20, 30 minutes. I know I've had to sit on my phone for over an hour with my stock brokerage to actually get in contact with someone. So, even if you got to wait, that outweighs email for a lot of people. So, customer service, that's definitely something you don't want to rush. You don't want to hire a bunch of random people and not have them fully understand the business and have to almost guess responses to people. That's just a bad situation that you don't want to happen rather. So I'm with Mike right now. The pros of the platform, the interest, the coin offering, and the product roadmap here over the next little while kind of outweighs customer service at this point, and it's one of the reasons as to why I'm still fairly, not fairly, really optimistic about not just the long term, but the short term as well. So that's kind of my thought process. I've talked about it before, but it's something they got to get under control. But it's, what can you do? You got to do it right.
And even to like, looking at the negative side to where that's being like their biggest flaw, because I mean, every project has some type of weakness, right? And I think that's Voyager's biggest weakness at this time. But even if we just look back to March, April, May, when we looked at when they was having a wait list, think about how much they've improved just from that time. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're just having the same, I guess, the same repeated problems. I mean, we're having the same bigger scope problem as in customer service, but far as like people creating accounts, far as other things, those things have been solved for the most part. So I definitely think that's a plus in the right direction as well.
Yeah, on the customer service side, first off, I always say I'm concerned. But I think beyond that, it's no longer a deterrent for the platform. There's no question it is above par on platform comparisons. I use at least 10 different platforms, and there is no good customer service that exists, period. But the steps that Voyager has taken now far exceeds what I experience on other platforms. And one of the big things with the withdrawals, I think, most of the time is ignorance. It's the ignorance of how this actually works because Voyager makes it so easy. It's if I load in $5,000, I can immediately trade it. I can even make a profit that day. I can sell it, and then I want to go send that money somewhere else to KuCoin, or I want to send that money back home to mama or whatever. You can't do it. That $5,000 or whatever was made available for you to buy something, but it's not made available for you to transfer off. If you try to do that on Coinbase, it's 9 days. So there's some by far, and I try to help some people with this. I try to help less than I used to, but people don't understand that process because visually it looks like it's free and ready to use and ready to move. But if it's not cleared, you're not getting it. If you have a bank problem, you're not getting it. You're not moving it. I did this yesterday. I sent $6,000 to my MetaMask, and I should have sent 5,000, but I wanted 6,000. So I put in from my bank 1,000 extra, and I sent the full 6,000. And I'm throwing my phone mad. And I was like, son of a buck, I forgot. I just loaded that in from my bank, and it took like a full day, which is what they say, 24 hours. It took the full day for me to get it. And I was like, that's my mistake, because I have the funds there, even without that 1,000 I put in, but I put in that extra 1,000. So I even did my own thing, and that was just my own ignorance at the time. But a lot of these things I stopped helping as many people because it was mostly you just don't understand how it works. And I'm tired of explaining that one-on-one. But as far as like withdrawing cash to my bank account, I've had it less than a day, multiple times.
Yeah,
I think it's the withdrawing crypto
me too.
is delayed.
It's the crypto that's the delay, but definitely I withdraw cash to my bank account, and it was there less than 24 hours. And I mean, honest, like no lie. I was like, dang, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty big. I've had it take over 10 days before, and I had to ask Steve for help on withdrawing cash to my checking account. That was months ago. I was freaking out because it was a pretty substantial amount, but nothing's taken 2 days anymore on me withdrawing cash. The virtual assistant is helpful. It's limited. You can't ask like personal questions. It's like pre-programmed, but I think it saves a lot of emails that the support team is getting. So they're cleaning it up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Voyager. Like it's Coinbase as well. I mean, there was a time where not too long ago, I just looked through Coinbase's kind of just comment section on Twitter. Like every comment was complaints about customer service, and they're an $80 billion company. I don't know the exact number, but that kind of just puts it into perspective that a company so large, yet they have $75 billion, yet they have crappy customer service, right? So Voyager's goal, end of the year, first class customer service in the crypto game. We'll see, but again, there's a lot on the horizon.
How's that Robinhood customer service? You had to deal with that yet?
Man, I have heard stories. I have heard stories.
Yeah,
they're even worse. They're just awful. Like, oh man, did you hear today? Like, data got breached at Robinhood. Millions of users' data was leaked.
It's no big deal. It's all public. It's on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's Voyager prioritizes security. Again, an example of them doing things well, not rushing things and half-assing them. That's just it.
What do you guys, as far as like the forward-looking stuff, Mike, Daniel, what are you guys looking forward to? I know Canada, besides Canada.
Only.
What are you looking for, like, when you look at the next steps of progression that you think Voyager is going, not just with the token, but with the platform and all that? What do you think is coming next? What are you most excited for?
I'll say for me, man, I'm most excited about, of course, international. I mean, that allows more people to come in. Number one, crypto payments. I think that's going to be big. I'm very curious to see what all they're going to do with the 5-year NBA partnership with the Dallas Mavericks with Mark Cuban. He's a business whiz, business minded. So I'm very, very curious to see what they're going to do with that, and just what's coming next. So I'm still waiting on the desktop, and then also the debit card, and then credit card will be coming later, of course, down the road after the debit card is out. So I mean, honestly, everything, man. I mean, everything is in development. That's up and coming. All of this is exciting, because all of this we can use. For me personally, as a consumer, I can use all of it, so I'm excited, so everything.
Yeah, I mean,
I was giving those safe answers.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get Mike to pick a favorite one day. That's going to be my new goal.
Oh, man.
He likes it all. I know it. It is hard to pick.
It is. There's so many different things on the horizon for this company. And, it's why I talk about it so much. Like, it's almost like, you look at a company like Tesla, which has exploded over the past 2 years, right? They're well over $1 trillion company at this point. Why did they get that big? Because they're not just one company. They're almost like 10 different startups within this one company. You look at Voyager, I see something very similar, right? They're a crypto brokerage, you can stake, but then you have payment processing. Then you have potentially loans down the road. Then you have stocks. Then you have a variety of other things that kind of all come into this one company, which will have a super app. So, the safe answer is everything. But I'm really looking forward to stocks because I feel like a lot of people just want to have one platform, and having stocks is going to give people the ability, and obviously debit card will come before that, the ability to pretty much move a majority of their assets onto one platform that you can also spend money on. Like, there's not a lot of brokerages that allow you to keep your money in the broker, but also spend that in the real world. And I think that's a big value proposition for Voyager, a platform where you can easily take your money, spend it at McDonald's, or spend it on McDonald's stock, whatever you want, or McDonald's token. There's probably McDonald's token. Who knows? I don't know.
And I will say, I'm gonna challenge you guys on this too, and I'm gonna go first. So I'm gonna lead the way. So one thing that we wish that Voyager would implement, because when I had Steven on, I had the pleasure of having him on months ago on the channel, and I asked him was this any time going to be like in the future where you can pretty much convert one crypto to another, so you don't have to sell it and then buy it, kind of like how Coinbase and crypto.com allows you to. So say for example, you're holding Ethereum, right? And let's just say you got 10,000 worth in value. Well, instead of having to sell that, you can literally just convert that into another crypto or into a stable coin. I mean, one transaction. You don't have to sell, then buy, because it creates different things that's happening. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, I think that would be a major game changer. Now, I know there's a lot of things that go in on the back end, but even if we could just say, you can't do it to any cryptos, but we allow you to do it to a stable coin, USDC. I think that would change the game. If they could just do that, that would change the game.
See, what would be interesting is if they made almost like a pro side of their platform, because I think there's something about keeping it simple, buy, sell, using the dollar as a denomination. But then for people who may be a little bit more experienced, maybe want to trade, they head over to the pro side of the platform, which Coinbase has Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. Binance has Binance, some, like simple front end, and then you have the complicated Binance. So they could easily do that. It's just, I think they should emphasize on keeping it simple for their kind of current target market, which is the general everyday individual, but then opening up the opportunity for more experienced people in the crypto industry to have that opportunity. So yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, I definitely love, being able to set it in USDC to buy your crypto. Because right now, if you want to make an impulse move, you've got to sell your USDC and then buy it. But if you can leave it in USDC and be ready to move, then you're getting that interest. So I really love that. And plus, when you got like that direct deposit coming, your debit card attached, it's all sitting in USDC. We got to be able to use it. But I think that's another tax problem, because you're taxed when you do a crypto for a crypto. And I think they're going to postpone that until next year. I think there's too many of those kind of things we're all waiting for that have tax implications. Yeah, I just think they're trying to stay away from.
I agree, because he had mentioned there was a lot that go in on the back end, with taxes and all of that as well. And so I definitely think, though, I mean, just a small detail, but I think that small detail really changes the game. Because I mean, when you look at just the user phase, that was the first thing that drew me to Voyager, was just how you was able to see your portfolio, you could see your total return, you could see your profit and loss on each individual position. You didn't have to put it into a separate software, connect APIs, or manually put in your trades each time. It had it right there for you. You know what I mean? It was just like a stock app just for crypto. And I think that's what really, set them apart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be big. And I think that's what's even crazier is like all the stuff that we know on the roadmap or that we have in our mind, like Voyager or Steve has said they were going to do, like that stuff's not even happening. Like they're adding all this stuff, like acquisitions left and right, partnerships left and right. Like nobody even had a clue that was going to happen. Right. And they just keep building, and we're not even getting what we are anticipating. They're just like filling the gaps while we wait, stringing us along. And man, there's just so many things that they've already committed to do that make this so much more usable.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's all sentiment. I'm obviously more involved in the stock, but, Voyager has come out with more press releases here over the past 2 weeks than I have seen over the past 3 months. It's incredible, right? And that led the stock to double in price, which is massive. Go from $10 to wherever it is, 18, 19 bucks right now. Token also went from $1.80, now almost $3. So, it all takes people to believe in Voyager and kind of believe in the long run vision of this company. And again, not get caught up with the short term. So last thing, I want to kind of end off here with a question from both of you, and we'll see where this ends up going. But where do both of you think the crypto market is heading into the final weeks here of 2021? And what are your thoughts on a potential bear market in 2022? Maybe Mike first, or
Yeah, so I'll try to make it quick. I think of course, we're in a bull market. I do think Bitcoin is possible for it to potentially, towards the end of the year, reach six figures, 100,000 Bitcoin. However, I do think 2022 will be the year of regulation. So with that being said, the narrative is painted for cryptos to lose a lot of value because we know most cryptos won't be here. And so with regulation coming into effect, that's going to implement that without saying it. And so when we just look at that from a grand scheme of things, we kind of know what's coming.
Do you think that's going to make the ones that are safe or more secure in regulation more consolatory? Where, is that even a word? Where people take from the ones who can no longer be traded in America, for example, or maybe people just bail because they can't pass the regulation, and then funds funnel into or consolidate into the ones that seem more in line with those regulations?
What I think is, the main cryptos that have the most market share, when we talk about different layers, proof of work, proof of stake, sharding, all these layer one, layer two, layer three. When we talk about all these different layers, I think the main blockchains, that have the market share, I think that's where most of that value will flow first. And then some of the ones that have, lower market share, I think they will get them. And if we just kind of look at the world today, everything we do, as far as entertainment, clothes, food, everything we do, there's like a handful of companies that we know. You talk about clothes, shoes, even if you just go designer or not designer, there's a handful of designers or a handful of companies who we all know and who we wear. Everything. It doesn't matter if you look at the entertainment. There's only a few companies who own all the movies. You look at music. So it's the same thing that's going to happen with blockchain. That's going to have most of the market share. And so these are some of the projects as well that take a little bit longer to take off because of maybe the use case they're going after, because we have to wait for things to develop because we're so early in this space, right? What was I going to say? The crypto payment infrastructure. What is it? ISO 20022 will be fully implemented by 2025, and it starts next year in 2022. You know what I mean? So we still have that's coming as well. So I mean, there's a lot to unfold on what can happen, what potentially will happen in the future.
That's good. Anyone have any final thoughts? Or I mean, listen, when it comes to my thoughts, I'm pretty much right in line with Mike. If we just look at history,
Be like Mike.
Pardon?
Just want to be like Mike.
Of course.
Been saying it since I was a kid. I just didn't know I meant this Mike.
No, I mean, look, listen, over the past decades, Bitcoin has followed a cycle, right? And it hasn't broken that cycle. And there is no evidence to point to the fact that Bitcoin will break that cycle over the next few weeks, next few months, next year. So generally speaking, we're probably going to get a bear market in 2022. And that is something that we do have to prepare ourselves for, right? And whether it's not being 100% in crypto, like Mr. DJ Crypto here, or potentially something else. I think we all have to be mentally prepared that crypto may go down, and let that not come as a shock if it does end up coming. And I've been transparent about it, in kind of my game plan with Voyager stock. And I'm sure we'll all continue uploading videos here over the next few weeks, next few months, as this may be and normally is the most entertaining part of the entire crypto cycle to watch. So we'll see how it unfolds. I think Bitcoin 6 figures, very likely, given that it's almost at 70K at this point. So, gentlemen, it's been great talking to you guys. It's always great talking to you, and if anyone watching here is more interested or wants to find out more about Mike or DJ, feel free to check out the links in the description down below to check out their YouTube channels or their Twitter pages. Thanks again for coming on, guys.
Thank you.